So here's the plan. I got this tissue paper that looks like newspaper on Amazon, and my plan is to Mod Podge it to the inside of the case. I really only like this color. It also came with kind of the same aged color, which is lovely, but it has red print on this one. We've got a really bright white with the dark print, and then we have the black with kind of a gold print. So this is the only one that I really liked. Because this thing is open most of the time in his room, I wanted to make the inside look a little bit better than this like cork material. I do think it's going to be a good material for Mod Podging or decoupaging. It's just not cute. So we want to make it look a little bit nicer. And then I also grabbed these little legs off of Amazon that we're going to also install on it. And I think that'll look really nice. So we're going to start with decoupaging. So the decoupaging is finished. I like the way it turned out. Here's what I learned, because I was going to use some vintage newspapers that I found at an estate sale to add more to it, because I don't like how it's the same headlines on repeat. This is the same like pattern that's just repeated on the tissue paper, and all of them are exactly the same. But I like the consistent color and look of it. So when I started trying to incorporate a different newspaper, I didn't like, it was like too much clutter, too many different elements. What hit me at the end is what I should have ordered is world map tissue paper. That would have been really cool. It would have remained consistent but not felt as repeated, I guess. Would have felt a little bit more like a treasure chest kind of feel, because Jameson really likes pirates, pirate ships, all of that. But I still like the way this came out. I'm keeping it in mind for the next time. If I find a different chest and we redo the inside, we'll do that. But now I want to add some feet onto it. I found these on Amazon. They are, I think they're called bun feet. Just these little wooden feet. And the thread on it is quite long. This is not a very thick trunk. It's not cardboard, but it's whatever it's made out of, it's not super thick, but it is sturdy. So I knew that there's not enough material for the thread to grab onto and for that to be the support. And so I ordered these little bolts, like bolt covers, to go over the thread on the inside, because some will stick up on the inside, but I think that'll keep it more secure, and these aren't going to be disruptive to the inside of the chest. Now, the threads are too long, so I had to have Luke cut them down a little bit for me. He's only done the one. We're going to test this one out and see. But essentially, we're going to drill holes in the bottom. I will screw the feet in. We'll add the little cap on top, and we will see how it all works. And then I want to get some kind of little banner or something to put up here. The other thing I would like to get is something to keep it, like a lid support hardware, and I went and tried to find it locally and they didn't have the right thing. So I need to scour the internet a little bit more and see if I can find something, but it would be nice to have something just to offer a little bit more support, since he does leave it open most of the time. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start drilling some holes and seeing if we can get some feet on this thing. As I was strolling through the antique store, I spotted this really cool old ship silhouette. This, I believe, is from the 70s, and the ship is actually made out of sterling silver. I will say that after I had it hanging on the wall for a few days, the ship actually fell, and there's a special kind of adhesive that's on the inside, so I had to go in and do some repair work. But what really drew me to this was the frame. I thought it would be perfect for his room. It has this like masculine feel to it, and this aged linen detail is just perfection. I was able to get this for $52 rather than the $75 they were asking for it, and I think it's a really cool piece to have in his room, although I do feel I paid a little bit more than I would have liked. I think a bunting banner is the perfect playful touch for a kid's space, or really any space that you just want to add something that feels a little bit fun. Jameson does have one in his room that I love, but I wanted to give him a summer version. So we're going with stars and stripes, of course, red, white, and blue. Our white will be more ivory to give that time-worn feel. and I really wanted to curate my own look. So I did choose my own fabrics, but they had some pre-packs of fabrics that would be great for a project like this. So this was all at Hobby Lobby, but of course, these are the ones that I ended up choosing. I got a yard of each, which is way more than I needed, but this was my first time doing it, and I did create I think 3 different ones. I'm going to show you a double-sided version, which is going to require a lot more sewing, and then the second version, which is a single-sided version, and the one that honestly I ended up liking more, I'm going to show after this one, so stay tuned for that. It's much easier, and as I said, I ended up actually liking that result a bit more.
Treasure once. It was full of rubies and emeralds and diamonds. Diamonds. And he loaded it all up onto a ship. And they sailed away into the sun.
Up until now, I've not been a big sewer. I don't do a lot of sewing projects, but I have actually done a couple this year in particular, and I've just had this little handheld sewing machine for years now. I'm shocked it still works. It's so finicky, and I was at odds with it the entire project, so I will definitely be getting a full-size machine for any future projects. And I know so many of you are going to be watching and thinking, girl, you need a rotary, you need all kinds of tools you don't have, and you would be right. It's just because I don't typically do sewing projects, but we're just working with what I had this time around. Once the triangles are sewn and flipped right side out, you want to iron them to get them nice and flat. And then I'm using a bias tape to conceal the tops and string it together. Now, it's definitely a bulkier look, and I don't think I was really expecting it to feel as bulky and stiff at the top, so that was kind of one of the things I didn't love about it. And really just in general, I feel like this version looked much more nursery to me for some reason than the next version that we're going to do. It was super cute, but not exactly what I was looking for. But if you're creating something for a nursery, or you need it to be double-sided, like for a party or something where you're going to see both sides, this is kind of the method you'd probably use. Now, like I said, my sewing machine and I not getting along. So typically you would just stitch your bias tape on, but I had some hem tape on hand and decided to go that route. Using a little handheld sewing machine like what I currently have, you have to hold the trigger with one hand, so it's hard to guide a straight line when you only have one hand to kind of guide your fabric with, rather than having a foot pedal. So that's why I was like, I'm not even going to attempt it. We're just going to use the tape. But it was a bit translucent. My tops weren't super finished, so I wasn't really expecting that. All in all, it's fine. It's just like a fun little thing that we did. But those are kind of some things that I learned. The next method, as I said, is a bit simpler looking, and I don't know, I ended up liking it a bit more, and it was so much easier. Now for this version, there's going to be a spot at the top of the triangle that tapers back in so that you can create a little flap to go over your string. Now what I did is I got these all cut out with the world's tiniest scissors because they were honestly better than all of the other scissors we had in the house. I know, it's ridiculous. And I ironed that little flap down so that I just had like a nice crisp fold. Put the string in, and then you just add a stitch underneath. The other thing that's really nice about this method is you can move the triangles around on the string to adjust it for your space so you're not stuck with the triangles being spaced out a certain distance. You can kind of move them around to make it work for wherever you're putting your little banner. Now, originally, when I redid the trunk, it's because his stuffies are always in the trunk. That's kind of where he's always stored them. However, he has a lot of stuffies. They're like his favorite things in the whole world. And I love that because one day when he doesn't want them anymore, I'm going to be so sad. So I'm like, all the stuffies, it's fine. So I found this really cool stuffy storage tower. It stands about 5 feet tall. It's got elastic bands on it so you can get the stuffies in and out from any point. And it's a vertical storage, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. We decided to put it in his little reading nook area because he doesn't use it a whole lot. And they just look cute in there. He was so thrilled with it. I was going to stain it or paint it, but he was so excited to get it in there. So I just said, you know what? We're just going to roll with it. It's totally fine. But we had so much fun building this together. And I feel like this is just such a great storage solution if you have a ton of stuffed animals like we do. Now for another quick little project, we're using our same fabric that we made our banners with, but I wanted to repeat this red in some other areas of the room because he doesn't have any red until I put these banners in. So I wanted to add kind of like a fabric mat to these frames. Now you can get a photo mat and actually paste fabric to the mats, but the frames that I already have in his room are like a double glass frame, and so I'm able just to sandwich the fabric along with the print between the two pieces of glass. It was super simple, adds so much texture, and again carried that red into another area of the room. So really cute way to add a bit of character to your artwork. Now for our last little DIY, this was a spur of the moment thing. We were at the hardware store. They had some flags and I was gonna buy some, and they said, oh, actually, those aren't in our system. We're just giving them out for free. They were left over from Memorial Day, so they gave me 5 of these flags, and I decided to use them in Jameson's room, and I wanted to obviously give them kind of a time-worn vintage feel. So we're gonna tea stain them just using some black tea and boiling some water, putting my tea bags in this baking dish, and then submerging the little flags. I did have to remove them from the poles, so we'll go back and we'll hot glue them back on, but I did end up baking them because I saw somebody else do it. I baked them in the oven at the lowest heat it could go. I literally only did it for like maybe 3 to 5 minutes per flag. It kind of just dried them. I don't know if it helps with the like longevity of the staining or not, but yeah, it definitely gave them the perfect vintage look. I love them so much.